Hey guys, for the next 21 days, I'm going to be doing something stupid. I'm going to lose 10 pounds in 21 days. And so you might ask, like, why is that stupid? Isn't that a goal that people would love? 10 pounds might not sound like a lot of weight, and 21 days might sound like a hell of a long time. Being able to do something like that in a way that doesn't leave you malnourished, doesn't adversely affect you in any way, might sound like a brilliant thing to do. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So why am I calling it stupid, and why am I saying you shouldn't do it? Well, that's part of what this challenge is going to be about. I'm going to go into excruciating detail. What's required to lose more than 1% of your total body weight per week. And encourage people that are trying to lose weight to do it in a more responsible fashion and reset expectations to a more reasonable rate of loss, which is more like 0.5% of your total body weight per week, or at most like 1% of your total body weight per week. All right, so let's get into it. What am I trying to do? You start off with, what are you actually trying to do? Because if you say, oh, it's obvious, I'm trying to lose weight, you're wrong. That's not what you're trying to do. The loss of weight is merely a side effect of what you're actually trying to do. In order to understand that, first understand what you're not trying to do. You're not trying to become dehydrated. You're not just trying to lose water, right? Water is tied up with glycogen in your muscles, and glucose, glycogen, they're sugars. Your brain runs on sugar. You're actually not trying to lose that. You want to keep that. You want your brain functioning right. You want your muscles functioning right. So you're not trying to lose that. You're also not trying to lose the muscle itself. You're not trying to break down your muscles and cannibalize it. And likewise, you're not trying to cannibalize your bones either. You're not trying to remove the calcium. You're not trying to demineralize your bones and making them brittle. You're not trying to do any of that. What you're trying to do is actually something incredibly specific. You're trying to eat fat. And not the dietary fat that's out in food, out in the world, that you're trying to bring into your body, which you will need to do some of that. No, you're trying to eat the dietary fat that is currently being stored inside your fat cells. I just finished my 3-mile walk. I could take a break before I do my jog. We can talk a little bit more about this. Dietary fat stored inside your fat cells, it's making them swell, creating the visible appearance of fat on the exterior of your body, right underneath your skin, called subcutaneous body fat. That's the body fat that's obscuring the musculature that's lying underneath. That's what's making you not see your abs, for instance. That's also making your clothes not fit the way you want. It's increasing the volume of your body, increasing the volume of the fat cells, increasing the volume of your body as a whole. Your body requires, function correctly, your body requires a certain fat reserve of that dietary fat inside your fat cells, for hormonal function and for a lot of other reasons. But it only needs so much. Everything more than that is extra. You don't need it. Our bodies are adapted to save it anyway, however, because as a survival strategy, our species would need an extra reserve of food, an internal reserve of food in order to ensure against famine, which was very, very common way back when. Well, we've solved famine. Doesn't happen anymore. That means every extra pound of that food, of that dietary fat food that's being stored in your fat cells that you don't need for metabolic function, or you just don't need for the hormonal function, all of that is just weight you're lugging around for no reason. Completely unnecessary, like carrying around a backpack full of groceries wherever you go for no reason. I'm gonna start walking again. So the goal is to lose, for me, in this challenge, to lose 10 pounds of that unnecessary dietary fat that I'm carrying, I'm stored underneath my skin inside my fat cells. That and nothing else. Nothing else. And there be the rub. That's the thing that makes it so difficult. Because bodies need a large number of things to function correctly. If you imagine eating a diet where the only thing you eat is bacon grease, not even the bacon that goes with it, just the grease when you render out bacon from the pan. That bacon grease, that's that animal dietary fat that's stored inside your fat cells. There's really not much difference. Fasting, crash diets, like extreme calorie restriction with no thought to getting the other nutrients your body needs. That's the equivalent of only ever eating bacon grease. As you can imagine, your body won't only just eat the bacon grease, right? It needs all of that other stuff. In order to get that stuff, when it is malnourished like that, it gets the other stuff by cannibalizing your own body. Breaks down your muscles, breaks down your bones. It triages other necessary systems. So like your immune system will go to pot because it's taking all the nutrients from your immune system in order to keep your heart pumping and your brain working. All right, so we're starting to see the problem. We want to consume the dietary fat inside your fat cells by forcing your body to need to eat that dietary fat in place of the food that it's getting from outside in order to satisfy the energy needs of your body. But do that in such a way that everything else your body needs besides that one specific thing, it's getting enough of everything else. All right, well, how do you accomplish that? How do you do that? This is where calories come into play. This is when we start talking about calories. Because you can abstract the volume of the dietary fat inside your fat cells into a quantity of calories that they would provide as energy when burned. Kind of the same way you can think of natural gas in terms of British thermal units. So we can talk about this dietary fat you're storing in terms of calories. 3,500 calories equals 1 pound of that pure dietary fat. So in the broadest sense, if your body needs an extra 3,500 calories in order to be able to function, you don't provide it the equivalent amount of energy from outside. Out of necessity, it'll use the stored dietary fat. The catch-22 is you can't just not eat because you need the everything else besides the energy that the food provides. Fiber, protein, micronutrients, essential fatty acids that are actually part of fat but aren't burned for energy. Also, remember the glucose and the glycogen? Yeah, that's part of food too, and that's energy also. But that's a type of energy used for specific types of activity. Thinking being one of them. People say you can get by without carbohydrates. Actually, it's exactly the opposite. We, in fact, can't get by without those sugars, without that energy source, so much. We have an entire emergency fuel supply system in emergency situations where we can't get carbohydrates. Your body is not made to live on that emergency power source. And that's part of the problem. Your body really does need everything, except that one specific thing that you're trying to get rid of. That one specific thing that you're trying to burn up. Excess dietary fat. So where it comes to eating, it becomes like a very delicate balancing act. Getting absolutely enough of everything while not getting enough of exactly one thing. All right, so as we'll see as I do this challenge in the rest of this series, how difficult that balancing act actually is. And how that comes down to pulling two levers, not just one, two levers. One being the diet lever that this whole video has been about, but the other being the activity lever. Because the activity lever done correctly does burn that one thing. But even that, only if you do it correctly and you have physical limits on how much of that you can do. Diet and exercise. To burn dietary fat inside your fat cells, which is an incidental consequence, results in losing body weight. Up to 1% of your total body weight per week, it can be done reasonably. After that, it becomes increasingly unreasonable. And I intend to demonstrate that to you by being unreasonable. So for the next 3 weeks, watch me be stupid so you don't have to be. See you guys.